time.
Good afternoon. Hi, I'm Bill Fairman. This is Wendy Sweet and Jonathan Davis, and welcome to the Passive Wealth Show. So, with real estate in the headlines, have you been wondering, is now a good time to buy?
And do you have gas for your car? Next, after this.
That and more after this. I wish I had my Star Wars shirt
I
on.
know. Everybody, warning.
I'm not sure that one's appropriate. Isn't that the
Well,
R2?
I have other ones. Hi again. Like I said, Bill Fairman, Wendy Sweet, Jonathan Davis, Carolina Capital Management. By the way, we are a Passive Wealth Show. I have to keep up with my graphics.
He's going to get a teleprompter so he remembers everything.
That's right. So we are a lender in the Southeast for real estate investors. If you are interested in borrowing money, go to carolinahardmoney.com. Click on the Apply Now tab. If you're an investor that wants passive returns, then click on the Accredited Investor tab. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. By the way, we do have a comment and question section either on the left-hand side of the screen or underneath, depending on the platform you're viewing us from. And we're happy to answer any questions that make sense to us. And we know the answers.
And is that their left or our left?
I think it's
Because
their
that's
up.
my right.
I think it's their up.
Okay. Look for a thing that says comments.
That's the best thing. And the greatest thing too about if you are a borrower, we now have a long-term program that rocks.
Yep.
So
Right.
yeah, we are already in the midst of processing several loans for a new long-term program. We're processing a 10-unit multifamily right now, and quite a few single families. So
What kind of rate did you get on that long-term of the 10 unit?
it's not locked in yet, but sub 5.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And oh, by the way, if you're new to real estate or if you want to increase your knowledge, we have Wednesday with Wendy.
Or Jonathan said he's going to. So that's like all the knowledge just seeping into your head.
Osmosis from Wendy to you.
And Jonathan said he was going to do January
January,
with Jonathan, and I like that.
January's with Jonathan. I like that. It's
I
going to be a
like
little
that too.
cold, but it'll be all right.
Yeah, a lot to do in 1 month. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's nothing for me.
Yeah.
No.
There's no rhyming.
Big times with Bill.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wednesdays with
I thought it was
William.
bar times with Bill.
Yeah. Belly up to the bar with Bill. That's
I
again.
like
Yeah,
that.
that works for me.
Yeah.
We'll do a new show on that. I like it.
So, you want to talk about something relevant?
No.
Do you
Like
have any
the breaking
news
perhaps?
for us? Yeah.
Well, first of all,
This just in. There's no gas.
yeah, unless you've been living under a rock,
Yeah.
the
Or anywhere other than Southeast, right?
mid-Atlantic and Southeast, North Carolina specifically, is down to 74% of the gas stations do not have gas.
That's right.
And that's pretty tough. But this morning I realized because I drive a diesel car, I had no lines at all. Those were the only pumps that were open.
That's
So
right.
It worked out pretty well for me.
It's what the sad part is we're not out of gas on purpose. I mean, we're out of gas because everybody freaked out and thought they weren't going to have any toilet paper. It's that same mentality of, oh no, we're not going to have any toilet paper. So everybody goes out and fills up their tanks.
They one of the conversations I had with my wife was like, oh yeah, she said, did you fill up your tank? I said, oh yeah, I filled it up a couple days ago. She's like, okay, it's not like we need all the cars filled up. It's just one we're gonna need.
Yeah.
But I saw people, they would take one car, fill it up, and then they go get another car and go fill it up. It's like, wow, that's a
Yeah, it's not a national.
You can't even
natural
drive two
disaster.
cars.
That's right.
So, what really kicked this off was the governor of North Carolina declared an state of
State
emergency.
of emergency. Woo! Everybody run away.
But they do that for a reason, because the gouging laws come into effect
Yeah.
when you declare an state of emergency. So
They
if
said on the radio, Bill, yesterday that there was a guy parked on the side of Independence Boulevard, which is a road in downtown Charlotte, selling gas for $15 a gallon out of the back of his car. He must have had one of those gas caddies full of gas. Now that guy should go to jail for sure.
$15.
$15 a gallon.
Well, I heard people putting gasoline in garbage bags.
Yeah. Give me a thought on that one. That is
I don't know.
insane.
People get crazy. All right, let's.
Only in America.
We have been talking for months now about inflation, and will it happen?
Is it already happening?
It did with the gas.
We got numbers in already, and yes, inflation has happened. So we're up 6.2% year over year for the producer price indexes, which means it costs the producers of goods and services 6.2% more this April than it did last April.
That's
Which
right.
means it costs you about 15% more.
Yeah.
And then consumer prices came in yesterday, and they were well into the upper 4s and 5s.
Well, how many?
That's still like a suppressed number. I mean, that number that they use is just ridiculous.
Well, that's the core. That's
Yeah.
not with the fuel and food.
Well, look at fast food. I mean, when you're stopped to get a hamburger and there's a sign that says $400 signing bonus and paying $13 an hour. Did you see that? Have you seen those signs?
I cannot
I saw it
drive.
at a convenience store.
I cannot drive anywhere in Rock Hill, Charlotte, or really any city that I've been through without seeing help wanted signs.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
There is no excuse to not work.
Well, there is an excuse to not work.
You're getting paid the same.
Not in the
or
state of
more
South
for free.
Carolina. Our fair governor dropped the unemployment benefits, and I'm so proud of him.
I'm glad about that. I mean, you see Montana where they dropped the benefit, but then they said, okay, we're going to take that and we're actually going to give you a bonus for getting a job. So
how smart.
Yeah. So instead of getting a bonus for not getting a job, get one and we'll give you that bonus.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's
So
pretty cool.
So part of that
Love
they
Montana.
call inflation either systemic or transitory. And transitory meaning that it's only going to last a short period of time. It was just certain conditions that are forcing the issue.
Mhm.
So the transitory
That's
piece
easy for you
would
to
be the unemployment benefits that will run out in September, unless of course they
Approve the
extend
new
them again.
bill for it. Yeah. Because I
Um,
think there was another there because there's two bills that the administration is trying to pass. One for like 1.9 trillion or whatever it was, and then another one for 2
Just
point
numbers.
something trillion. One was for infrastructure, the other one was for unemployment benefits and healthcare and stuff like that.
So if you're a geek and you follow this kind of crap, if you look at inflation is way up, but the 10-year treasury is actually dropped from yesterday. It actually came down some.
Wow.
So it's still at 1.6 something percent. It had gone up to 1.7. So why are rates staying so low? And that they're thinking it's going to be a short-term thing. So they're not.
Inflation's gonna be short term.
Yes.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
I don't know.
So
I
we'll
don't
see.
agree. But
The problem is they keep printing money, and that's the main reason
I'd do it too if I had a
that
printer.
inflation happens. Is that if your dollar's only worth half as much, then you still have to buy the same thing.
That's
The
right.
price is going to go up.
That's
for it.
right.
I want to, just, a little something that just, I guess, grinds my gear. We were just talking about, the help wanted signs everywhere. The job reports came out. They were expecting 1 million jobs added. It ended up being 266,000. And, everyone like, oh man, this is terrible, man. I don't understand how we could have such low job numbers. It's going to be a marathon. This is going to be a rough road. And it's like, well, if you look at the amount of money funneled to people to incentivize them to not work,
Yeah.
it's like 400 times what it's ever been.
That's right.
And then we're saying, well, we don't understand why there's not a million jobs.
People are
Well, why on
inherently
earth
lazy.
would you get a job?
That's right. That's right.
I was talking to a friend in Oregon that most people can qualify for the highest relief on unemployment in Oregon, which equates to about $73,000 a year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that's awesome.
Well, the problem.
I
I'm
wouldn't
moving.
You know, why would you work? You're making 70 grand just doing nothing.
I hope they're putting money aside for taxes,
Yeah.
because they're going to get quite a surprise at the end of the year when they
Yeah.
have tax on
Yeah.
the 73,000.
And then, but you know what? The government will probably bail them out of that.
But that's like, you know, that's the issue with me. It's like, well, do they think that I'm an idiot? Do they think that everyone here is an idiot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Evidently.
they do.
Evidently.
Because they're like, well, we don't. It's a marathon. We got to pump more money and give people more benefits to help them through this. I'm like, no, don't, and let them get a job.
If you treat your children like that, they'll never move out.
Well, that's true.
I got
You should
3.
know.
Yeah.
I got 3.
Yeah, but it's just like I'm just watching this. I'm like, they think that we're idiots.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure.
See,
And
so
we
what
are.
else? Unemployment. First time claims again below 500,000, which is good. It was
Yep.
in the fours. That's 2 weeks in a row below 500. Continuing claims, though, surprisingly, are increasing.
Scott says he thinks you're smart.
That's because we pay you.
Yeah.
You're paid to say that.
That's
So-
right. So he's smart.
So the unemployment claims haven't changed much. Until this stuff runs out, we're going to see the same kind of issues. You're going to have people that can't find employees to work because they're going to be on vacation until
Mhm.
September, essentially.
And yet we still have a housing shortage, even if all of the houses that were available to sell were on the market and ready to sell.
Right.
We'd still have a housing shortage.
Now, I saw something, I don't know the validity of it. It was a graph, and I can't even remember the source, but it was saying, new homes built by the decade.
Mm.
And 2010 to 2020 had the least amount of homes built by the decade. I think it was a little over 5 million is what it was saying, since 1930. Every decade prior was averaging a little over 20 million by the decade, which is interesting.
Mhm.
Like we didn't 2010 to 2020,
Yeah.
we only built 1/4 of what we built the prior
Is
decade.
this
Yes.
single family
Yeah.
housing that you're
Yeah, it was
specifically?
all single family. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if
Now I don't know the validity of it, but
the shift was more to multi and more cluster type,
It's a good question,
properties.
but who knows, right?
yeah.
because the margins for building have been getting smaller and smaller, and that's why most of the homes you see that are being built are in the upper middle class range, right? So
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, you're right.
you have fewer people that can afford those, so
Right.
they can't build it. They're not going to build as many.
Yeah, but with all the cost, it's almost crazy to build an affordable house because the cost for the wood, the sheetrock, all the things that
Yeah.
we need,
It's tough.
it doesn't make sense to build affordable housing.
Well, it makes
The
more
smaller
economic
housing.
sense to build under one roof.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking
Yeah.
more multifamily.
Mhm.
And what's happening right now is people are moving away from the multifamily and into the suburbs to the single family.
That's right.
So the
Yeah.
demand is just the opposite. So let's get to our ugly question today.
I give that a 9. It's got a great beat and it's easy to dance to.
So our question is, and it's very timely, is now a good time to buy real estate? Wendy, I'm going to let you start off.
Well, I would have to say it's always a good time to buy real estate. It's whether you're at the top of the market or whether you're at the bottom of the market, real estate is always a good deal. If it's a good deal, of course, if you're getting the numbers right. But it's even back in the 80s when the interest rates were at 21% and 18%, that was real.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Investors were still making money. They were still buying and selling houses.
Yep.
People were still able to afford to move into their homes.
Yep.
So, I think it's always a good time to buy real estate. It's what your exit strategy is that may change.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So my thoughts on that would be, what kind of real estate? And you're right about the numbers. Like, timing on new construction can be far more paramount than timing on a fix and flip or like a long-term rental.
Mm-hmm.
Like to buy a long-term rental to get your numbers right, there is never a bad time.
That's right.
To buy
That's
a
right.
rental. Because the property, if it can support itself,
Mm-hmm.
it's a great thing. You build cash flow, you build appreciation, all kinds of stuff. Depreciation you can get in there as well. But like on new construction, there are bad times. 2008.
It's a great one.
It's a great one to, there are bad times for
Yeah.
that. So depending on the asset type that you're in, I would say, rentals, whether they're short term or long term, as long as you know how to cash flow your property, there's never a bad time.
That's
for
right.
those.
And your financing options, that means everything when you're buying a property, whether you're going to use a hard money loan, a short-term loan, a private loan, a bank loan where you're going to get a 20 or 30-year loan, how much money you're able to put down, all of that, seller financing, my personal favorite.
Yeah.
There's always options out there, and you really need to, when you're buying a house, that financing really can make or break the deal. How you have that set up, financing can make or break a deal. A lot of people are paying cash for so much. Is that a wise move?
I mean,
If you have the cash.
If you have the cash,
But you need to refinance it once you have the cash.
There
exactly.
You're using the cash so you can buy it quickly.
and more cheaply is, if you're paying the same as a cash purchase as a bank purchase, that's, you're not getting
In
a good
certain
deal.
markets,
Yeah.
if you don't have cash, they're
They're
not
not gonna get
accepting
it.
your offer.
That's
right.
true.
It has nothing
Yeah.
to do with the amount.
Yeah.
It has to do with I'm making sure that I'm selling the thing.
That's right. Even
Yeah.
as an owner occupied.
It's leverage.
Mm-hmm.
You get back to the seller financing, there's ebbs and flows in seller financing. When I bought my first home and the FHA rate was 14.5%.
Back in the 20s or 30s.
People were selling existing homes and owner financing them at a much lower rate.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very attractive because it was really hard.
Yeah.
So if you had a paid for home or you had purchased it and you still had a fairly low rate, you could go ahead and guarantee the first and you're owner financing it. Of course, you still had those due on sale clauses.
That's
but
right.
as long as payment was made,
They don't really care.
They don't really care.
So that was the early 80s, wasn't it?
Yes.
And do you remember what
Actually,
your rate was?
It was 1978.
Oh,
And it was 14.5.
14.5 was the FHA rate.
wow.
Yeah.
You weren't even 20 yet, were
I
you?
was 19.
Huh.
But I qualified
Impressive.
at that point for state bond money. Back then, they didn't subsidize your down payment. They subsidized the interest rate because it was so damn high.
Yeah.
And my actual interest rate was 7.25% because they cut the interest rate in half.
Wow.
And so what
They felt
happened?
sorry for you.
Every real estate investor in the world sent me a letter saying that I would be happy to take your mortgage over.
Yeah,
and
I bet.
I'll pay you Tuesday and buy your house today.
That's exactly right.
Because it was also a non-qualifying
Assumable loan.
assumable loan.
Yeah.
And they could just step in and start making the payments. And
Those were the good old
that
days.
was my
loans.
first intro into real estate investing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then, to get back to the,
Real question.
is it, a good time to buy? There is timing to it. I mean, think about the commercial side. People who were in funds or even just bought strip malls, strip centers, retail right before COVID happened.
Right.
I mean, my gosh. I mean, they lost all their income.
Yeah.
So, maybe they're in a forbearance right now. I don't know. Maybe they're, actively trying to sell it, but timing does make a big deal. the thing that I think that I would like to stress is timing is less of a big deal on single family rentals.
Yeah.
Now, when you get into new construction, commercial, that side, those type of things, timing becomes more of a factor.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding your market is far more paramount in those scenarios.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the kind of sum this up, it's a good time to buy if you're getting it for the right price. If your numbers work, and like Wendy said, it depends on what your goals are. You never buy real estate assuming the values are going to go up. Right. Never, ever, ever. If it's your primary residence, you're doing it because you want to live in a certain place.
Right.
During the crash, when everybody was complaining, well, if I sell my house, I'm not going to get hardly anything for it. Well, the other side of that is true.
Right.
If I'm selling my house and I can't get as much for it, guess what? You're not going to have to pay as much for the one you're going to get.
That's true.
Right. So the same thing works here. I'm going to get this big profit on my house, but now I'm going to have to pay more for the one that I want to get into.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So does it make sense to sell and then rent for a little while, assuming that
you can find a rental
values will come down? I don't think values are going to come down. I just think the rate of growth is going to slow.
Yeah, I from your mouth to God's ears.
So
I hope you're right.
I mean, I don't anticipate, but when I do these deals, I'm looking at it like, especially now, I'm anticipating a 5 to 10% reduction in value.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it won't happen.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't happen. But like when I'm looking at deals to purchase, that's what I'm anticipating for the next 12 to 18 months is, well, what does this deal still work if I lose 5% of the value?
That's right.
Yeah, a good rule of thumb on investment property, for me anyway, is do not have it leveraged at more than 75% of the value.
Over leverage.
Because even in the worst states, I think it only dropped down. The values, for the most part, never drop more than 25 to 30%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it looks like Green Space Community. So this is the project Mr. Oscar Jesse is working on.
We showed that video
in
last week.
in Augusta, Georgia. Yeah. So he's got 44 townhomes that he's building there, affordable housing. So if you are in the Augusta area, want to be in the Augusta area and looking for affordable housing, reach out to Green Space Community or to me, and I can get you connected with them. But he is right. Yeah, all the numbers have to work.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you watched last week's show because you were in it.
Yeah.
we showed the video that Jonathan sent us.
That's right.
So great work down there.
Yeah, we're excited.
By the way, we're going to get you back on and do some before and after shots and stuff later.
Yeah.
If that's okay. Just give us a thumbs up if you agree.
If you don't tell us.
That's right. So, the bottom line is, and I got this when Wendy was trying to drag me back into the real estate business.
Kicking and screaming.
I was going, why in the world would people be doing fix and flip properties when values are still going down? It makes more sense to buy long-term rentals. But then I finally realized it doesn't matter. As long as you sell it for more than you have in it, you can buy in any damn market.
That's the key. That is the key.
So if your numbers work, we're assuming you're buying something distressed, and at the same time, you're forcing appreciation.
Well, do you remember how foolish we thought all these companies were, the hedge funds that were coming in and buying all these properties up?
To rent them out.
Yeah, to rent them out, overpaying a little bit.
And rehabbing them.
So, but they weren't in them more than the value, but they were in them a little higher than they should have been. Yeah. And now they are on Easy Street, aren't they?
Well, I mean, that's BlackRock was the first one to do that on a large scale. And yeah, they made out well.
It worked out well.
They made out really well on that.
It worked out really well.
Now also is a good time if you have some stinkers in your portfolio, and everybody does. You always have one or two that you're always having trouble with.
Yeah.
Either tenants or things breaking. Now might be a good time to sell those assets and sit on a little bit of cash or invest into something else. But now it's a good time to check your portfolio.
We're just closing a portfolio loan today where the seller is selling because he has, of the 20 units, he has several that are, back owed
Underperforming.
rents. Yeah, they're underperforming, they're back owed rents, and he just doesn't want to deal with it anymore. So the buyer is getting a great deal on it. Now he has to do some work and either collect those past rents or
Get those
evict
folks out.
and get new,
And the eviction moratorium is either over or on its way to be over very
correct.
shortly.
Yeah, so there are opportunities on single family to buy at a discount with people who just are tired of dealing with
Mhm.
delinquent rentals.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting down to the bottom of the hour. I want to just add this. Before they had the moratorium on evictions, a good place to meet a tired landlord
Yeah.
would
Court.
be at the court. And you watch who's trying to evict folks, and then you say,
Mhm.
"Are you tired of this?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to take this off
Do
your
you
hands?"
poop out at parties?
No. Now you can't do
Mention
that
the
because they're not evicting anyone, so that's not a good place. But keep in mind you can do that. So next show is coming up. There's a link right there. We had advertised for a guest on some turnkey rentals, but we've had to make some last minute changes. So it'll just be us again.
But it'll be good, we promise.
We are Carolina Capital Management. Thank you so much for joining us on the Passive Wealth Show. Don't forget, if you're a borrower in the Southeast and you're a real estate investor, go to carolinahardmoney.com. Click on the Apply Now tab. If you're a passive investor looking for passive returns, click on the Accredited Investor tab. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. And by the way, I'm going to say this and I'm going to pause. Don't forget about Wednesday with Wendy.
And coming soon, January with Jonathan.
All right, guys. See you on the next show. Have a good day.
One.